See, the fact of the matter is, I can't be anyone but myself. And I'm totally okay with that. See, the problem is when we start to take into consideration what everyone else has to say about us and try to live our life according to how they believe we should live our life, and trying to measure up to what they want us to measure up to, then we'll find ourselves in a very detrimental situation. We'll find ourselves lost, confused, fighting for our identity. We'll have an identity crisis. We're always waiting for the perfect moment to write the book, the perfect moment to start the music group, the perfect moment to start the podcast, the perfect moment. If we continue to wait for the perfect moment, we will find ourselves in a great deal of problems, a great deal of issues, because there is no such thing as perfect. Sometimes all it takes is for us to step out on that limb. Most of the time, it has nothing to do with anything being perfect. It has everything to do with how comfortable and how ready we are. See, you have to realize that when you're getting ready to venture off and start something new, we find ourselves often in a very uncomfortable situation. And anytime that we're uncomfortable, that creates a whole lot of room for us to start thinking, oh my God, this could go wrong. Oh my God, what if this happens? But we have to stop and change the way that we're thinking. Instead of saying, oh my God, what if it goes wrong? We need to start saying, oh my God, what if it goes right? You'll never know if it'll go right or if it'll go wrong if we're steadfast on waiting for the perfect moment.
See, they don't have to like me. They can talk down on me, run my name through the mud, as long as I know who I am, as long as I know who God knows I am, as long as I know that I am on the right path, and that God is pleased with what I'm doing. Go ahead and hate me. Go on ahead and dislike me. I'm going to continue to love you. And I'm going to continue to shine and continue to grind and continue to do the work that God has called me to do.
See, sometimes it's not about being liked. It's about being respected. As long as you can look at my work and say, I respect that. I don't like her. I respect that. And 9 times out of 10, a hater could never give you the credit whether they respect it or not. But if they're looking, if they're talking, then that means that they feel something. And that's fine also. That's just the way. That's just the way. That's just the way. That's just the way. That's just the way it is.
What up, K-Squad? It is your girl, Keisha Andrea, and I am so excited to finally bring you guys some live, maybe uncut, unapologetic for sure, content to my podcast. So I know a few months ago I dropped the bomb that I will be starting this wonderful podcast, and in the same breath, I did it. Life really began to take off. I became engaged. Shout out to my awesome husband. And being the superwoman that I aspire to be, and I'm sure a lot of my sisters, you guys can attest to this, I inspire to do everything in reality check. No, I absolutely realized that I cannot do everything at one time, but it all became a learning lesson. And I realized that in that learning lesson that life is so short and unapologetic at times, but it is so precious. And so I have to treat it with intention. And even in the midst of me trying to take advantage of every hour of the day, I wasn't being effective because I was biting off way more than I could chew. I'm sure we've all been there. So moving forward, staying focused on one thing at a time is definitely my focus. So yes, prioritization in my podcast is officially my focus. As much as I like to be that superwoman, I realize that I can't. I can't do everything. I can't be expected to be everywhere. I just have to really focus on the things that's really going to better myself. And I realize that if it's going to affect me, if making a decision is going to negatively affect me and hold me back from doing what I intend to do, then I have to say no. And I know that in that process, people's feelings may be getting hurt. And you know what? I can't dwell on that. I'm totally okay with that, because I also realize that people who are in your circle want to see you progress. They want to see you invested in something that is going to make you happy, that is going to ultimately make you a better person. So, yeah, so I decided that I wanted to definitely reserve and prioritize my podcast as something that is important for me and be intentional about it. So yeah, so the bottom line is you can't be good to anyone if you're not good to yourself.
Period.
So moving forward, let's talk a little bit about my podcast. So what exactly is Just the Way It Is? Well, it is solely that. It is whatever I want it to be. It's whatever I want to say. This is my platform, and therefore I can do whatever I want to do. Okay. That's so satisfying. And well, if whomever doesn't like it, that would really break my heart. Like, really
Not
break my heart. Go ahead, leave. You're just going to walk out that door like that? Well, then go. Press the button. This podcast is not for everyone. But if you like to give it a shot and continue listening, then I'm all for that. You can join the K Squad. So who am I? First and foremost, I am a child of God. So don't come for me. But I'm a work in progress, of course. My husband is an associate pastor. So I guess that kind of makes me like a second lady or something. May I disclose that I am not perfect. I do not walk around every day with a halo on. I am just as human and flawed as anyone else. And I guess that's part of the reason why I decided to develop this podcast. I wanted to use this platform to allow people to know you do not have to be perfect in order for God to love you. He loves you just the way you are. And I guess that may pose an issue for some people. So be it. I'm also a career woman. I work in juvenile probation, and I love to write. I love music. I love food. I love to cook. So if you like to feed me, I'm so down. I'm so down with that. You can feed me. As long as your kitchen's clean. Sorry. Also, I love my Bengal cat, Chi Chi. She is the bomb. Chi Chi, where you at? So you guys heard my little kitty. So yeah, so like I was saying, also I love people as well.
Most of the time.
Told you I'm a work in progress. Don't judge me. I'm all for self-growth and expansion. I have a BA in public relations from Sac State. Go Hornets! And a master's in public administration from Golden Gate University in San Francisco. Woo woo!
I don't know. Get off my back, alright?
No, but I get that all the time. Anyone with a degree knows the real behind it all. Sometimes a degree just gets you in the door. Any door. Like I literally have friends who have biology degrees and they are mixologists, okay? They're bartenders. And I know some peers with communication degrees or whatever, and they are pole acrobats. What is life? If that ran through your head, this podcast very well may not be for you. See, this podcast will challenge the way some people think. we'll be discussing some things that may get your hands in a bunch. And guess what? That's just the way it is. I'm in my own space, operating on my own frequency, and I guess you'll just be listening at your own risk. Fair enough? Okay, so what you'll hear on this podcast is everything that I like. We'll open the podcast by acknowledging those on our prayer list. And then we'll go straight into Spill the Tea.
Oh, yeah.
Where I'll examine a given topic for the week in the areas of life, love, and relationships. It could be anything from current events to personal experiences, you name it. And then from there, we'll transition into our next segment.
Dear me.
DM me is where I'll answer questions that you guys have asked on my Instagram page. You can submit these questions privately as well through an app called Lipsy, and the link to that is on my Instagram page. It's in my bio. Or you can just send it directly to my inbox. So if you'd like to submit a question, just make sure you're following us on Instagram at justthewayItis_podcast. And from there, we'll transition straight into
Sex talking. Ooh la la.
ooh, risque. Yes. It's such a good feeling being married, y'all, because I say whatever I want. Okay. And I don't have to whisper. Oh my God, is she talking about sex? Girl, I am talking about sex. This segment will give me an opportunity to discuss some of the myths and realities about celibacy, waiting until marriage, and setting the roof on fire, all the way on fire in the bedroom. It should be fun. But occasionally, I'll invite some of my favorite people to join me on certain discussions to enhance the experience. And to keep this thing really real, I needed to dedicate just about 3 to 5 minutes to a segment entitled, What a Bird!
It's like a little bird here.
Okay. There's a lot of foolery going on in this world, and it's affecting our communities, relationships, how we perceptualize things, and it ultimately needs to be called out. During this segment, I'll be calling out whomever or whatever for the bird brain action they did, with a call to action for them to fly away, far, far, far away. And of course, we will be wrapping up the episode on a high note. We'll conclude with a segment of Boss Down. Boss Down will acknowledge an influential individual in our communities that's putting in work to break barriers, developing opportunities for the underserved communities, and ultimately putting a boss down on whatever skills and talents they have. This was important for me because I really want to expand my circle of people to reflect those who are bosses in real life. Not that Instagram stuff, okay? Not them Instagram quote unquote influencers, but like real life influencers. So it was only right. With that said, if you're still listening to this podcast, good job. You have officially become part of the K Squad. So with that said, thank you so much for taking the time to listen, and let's get it.